according to Seeker Network, Mexico is ranked 15 in world economies. It is projected that Mexico will rise up to the top 8 economies in the world by 2050. Good afternoon, guys. We are representatives from Petróleos Mexicanos, or also known as Pemex. Today we're going to talk to you guys about an opportunity for an internship for us in Mexico. And by doing that, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about the geography, or I will be talking a little bit about the geography. Mayra Portalegre is going to be talking about a little bit of the culture of Mexico. Carolina Avila is going to talk a little bit about the government. And Cynthia Teran is going to conclude with the economy in Mexico. So there are some brief ground rules, so if you guys would like to leave the questions to the end of the presentation, that would be great. So, starting. So, as I said, my name is Eduardo. I am the Human Resource Manager for Pemex, and I'm going to start with climate. So, Mexico is divided into 3 sections: the north, the central, and the south when it comes to climate. The northern part of Mexico is pretty much dry desert land. According to All About Mexico, the summers reach up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and the winters reach up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, making them dry summers and chilly winters. This is pretty much like for the United States, the southwest part of Mexico, and you can easily relate to that. And they're also known as a lot of places as ranchos, which is ranch, pretty much the ranch life in Mexico. So the central part of Mexico is an elevation. It stands mostly on volcanic plateau and is also surrounded by mountain ranges. This is also the most densely part of the country, since the capital of the country is located there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it later on. And also we have the south part of Mexico, which is the ecotouristic part of Mexico, which is mostly forests, jungles, marshes. Here you can also find the pre-Hispanic ruins, just like the Chichen Itza Tower of the Mayan, the Oltec, and the Aztec. Also, Mexico is the south part of Mexico is considered the tropical area, since it's close to the Tropic of Cancer and the equator, making this part heavy rainfall. They have a lot of rainfall, so always keep that in mind. There's also a fourth part of Mexico I want to talk about, which is Mexico's crust, or the seacoast of Mexico. It's actually supposed to be a little bit lower. So Mexico is well known for its touristic seacoast cities. And some honorable mentions are Cancun, Acapulco, Mazatlan, and Puerto Vallarta. There are over 15 coast cities that people know worldwide, and these are, like I said, the honorable mentions. And there's a lot of cargo or ports where these are located, and the biggest ports are in Tampico, Michoacán, Veracruz, Manzanillo, and Guaymas. The biggest port is actually Michoacán, El Puerto de Lázaro Cárdenas, which is one of the biggest ports of the Pacific side of the country. And also to note, since we're Pemex, Tampico is the one that specializes in petroleum. So if you are interested, you'll be heading to Tampico a lot, which is also a very good touristic city. So lastly, I'm going to talk to you guys about the biggest business cities. So it's good to know that, like I said, Mexico City is the capital of Mexico. A lot of people come to the Mexico City, come internationally, land in Mexico, and stay and visit a few days, and that's what makes it very, very more popular. It is one of the biggest cities of the hemisphere, of the western part of the world, and it's very populated. And it's elevated in about 10,000 feet up there, so which makes it pretty cold as well. And second city we have is Guadalajara, Jalisco, which is also a big point of entry of the country. This part of this city specializes in arts and crafts and distribution. This also has a very strong cultural heritage of the country, which is known as the charros, known as the mariachi. That's where it comes from, mainly Guadalajara, Jalisco. And it is also known for the big cathedrals this city has. And here's one of them. There's like about 20 of them across the city. And the third city I'm going to talk to you guys about is Monterrey, Nuevo León, which is the northern part of the biggest north city. And this is a modern man-made city. What I mean is that it didn't used to be a big city before, but like industry started coming in, and this city eventually started growing, making it in the top 3. This city is also a large producer of iron and steel and also glass. One of the biggest factories we know is the Parque Fundidora, which is now considered a museum. People go to the city and visit. The people in Monterrey are also very friendly and want you guys to know the city, know the best of the city, and want you to have a good time there. So now I'm going to hand it over to Myra, and she's going to talk to you guys about culture.
Hi, sir and other students. I'm Myra. I'm a representative for the MEPEDEX company. Today I will talk to you guys about the culture of Mexico. My presentation has 3 main points. I'll talk about the language, the food, religions, the holidays in Mexico, and the last point will be the business ethic. To begin with, Spanish is the primary language in Mexico. They also have others 62 dialects that are recognized, and according to agriculture.com, 84% of Mexican people are Catholic, 8% are Pentecostal, and other 3% they have other religions. About the food in Mexico, the Mexicans, they were colonized by Spain, so Spain bring a lot of their cuisine to Mexico. The cuisine of Mexico right now are based in beans, flour, rice, a lot of vegetables, and a variety of meats. According to facts about Mexico.com, the most famous dishes in Mexico are tacos and tortillas. The tacos are made by flour, chicken or beef, and vegetables like tomatoes, onions, avocado all together. And tortillas are a flour also with they put inside rice, beef or chicken, and vegetables as well. Moving on to the holidays. Well, if you are a visitor, if you are going to Mexico, make sure that one of the days you are on one of the holidays. They have Day of the Dead, that is the Dia de los Muertos, the Christmas season, they have the Lent and Easter, they have the Dia de la Raza and the Dia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe. So the Day of the Dead, that is a Mexican holiday that they celebrate like for the family members, friends that passed away. They celebrate on November the 2nd, and they believe that all the people that passed away, the spirits came on October 31st and live on November the 2nd, that is the Day of the Dead. So instead of the other countries that the people are sad on that day, in Mexico, they are happy, they make parties, they go to the street and dance and so on. And for the day of the Nostra Senora of Guadalupe, they celebrate on December 12th. They do a peregrination to the city of Mexico. They go to the Basilica of Guadalupe, that is the largest church in Mexico City, and they bring gifts for the Virgin. They also do performances, and most of the girls that are born on December 12th in Mexico, the parents put the name like Guadalupe, most of them. Moving to the business ethics. So in Mexico, in business, you never use the first name to call someone. Always you have to use the title If you don't have a title, you have to call the person by Miss or Mister. You can have the firm handshake and the direct eye contact all the time. The, the physical contact, it have to be the minimal as possible, and the time, well, on business in Mexico, you can arrive 30 minutes late, and that will be okay. That will be alright. That is the culture, and the negotiations there is always slowly, because the Mexican people, they the personal relationships is always first than the business relationships, the business. So today I talked about the culture of Mexico, about the language, the religions, the holidays, and the business ethics. Now I'm gonna hand it to my colleague.
Hola, buenas tardes. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Carolina, and I will be talking to you about politics and the government that Mexico has by exploring some of their three main political parties, then talk about their current government, and then kind of some of the corruption that's currently happening in the country. So to start off, we have one of the most famous parties. It's called PAN, Partido de Acción Nacional, also known as the National Action Party. It is a conservative party, but they reject fundamental adherences to left or right-wing policies because they like to have policies that affect the current Mexico state. So whatever helps them in that moment, that's what they like to do. The party was founded in 1939, and according to the Mexico Election Guide, it is considered to be the loyal opposition to the PRI, which I will be talking about last. And PAN won its first significant election back in 1989. So it recently came, to become more popular and to take more government positions in the Mexico government. So the next one is PRD, which is Partido de la Revolución Demócrata, and that's the party of the Democratic Revolution. It's a group of people. It was founded by a group of people who were from the PRI party as well. They first began as creating a little tiny party within that party because they wanted more democratic views and more democratic policies. But eventually, in 1986, they went out and created their own party, which is PRD. So this party is strongest in central and southern Mexico, with having about seven states that they hold under their position. So next I have the PRI, which is Partido de la Revolución Institucional, which is the Institutional Revolutionary Party. It was formed after the Mexican Revolution in the 1920s, and it was formed so that they could prevent further rival violence with the other political parties, and it is the most popular. Up until 2000, they had most of their government from this party until recently. For the last 2 to 3 presidents, they've been from other parties. So they've kind of fallen behind a little bit, but they are the most popular and still are one of the most heaviest populated seats in the government. And it's also considered nationalist because they have socialist business men and women who work up their ranks into the party. So next I'm going to talk about the current Mexico government. So right now the current president is Enrique Peña Nieto. There is no vice president in Mexico. The next person under him would be the Secretary of the Interior, which is our version of the Secretary of State. And that is Miguel Ángel Osorio Chong. And as you can see, this is Chong and this is Peña Nieto. So a little bit about the president's duties. When you are elected to a 6-year term. So the next election will be in 2018, since he was elected in 2012. Just like our political system, he hires his cabinet, his military officers, everyone who's under him and that advise him, he does the same thing. The political system in Mexico is very similar to the one in the U.S., just with a little differences. Like I said, he is there for 6 years instead of 4. like our president. Next, I'll be talking about a little bit of the corruption scandals that are happening right now in Mexico. So according to the International Business Times, Peña Nieto's ratings are at a low of 22%, which is the lowest they've seen in about 13 years, according to the poll that they conducted this at. So he's very unliked in Mexico. According to International Business Times, 73% of the respondents are somewhat disappointed in what he's doing in Mexico, while 55 are strongly disapproving of his presidency, with only 4% strongly approving. So he's really not liked. People want him out, and they're going to try to do that in the 2018 election. So some of the scandals he's been involved in was one with his wife, where it was $7 million, where it's a luxury home scandal, and basically it was said that he gave out all these government contracts that were worth about $76 million in order to be given homes to him. So it was illegal, and it was a big scandal. He apologized. People weren't really taking it. People don't really trust him, especially because of that. Also, him meeting with President-elect Donald Trump recently has also lowered his approval rating by about 1%. He was at 23, but now he's at 22 because of that. Also, his law thesis has been having a lot of scandal. So according to Fox News, 29% of his thesis was word from a former president's book that he wrote. And so people are kind of speculating about that, trying to see like how that makes him unworthy and distrustful. But when Peña Nieto addressed this, he said we shouldn't be looking at the past 25 years ago, so he just kind of brushed it under the rug. So that definitely has plummeted his rating. So in recap, I talked about the current government parties, so the PAN, the PRI, and the PRD, and I also talked about the current government, so who's in office and kind of what the president's responsibilities are, and then I ended up talking about a little bit of the corruption scandals that are happening with in the presidency and why that's led to a low approval rating. So now I'm going to pass it on to my colleague.
Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia, and I'm accounting for Pemex. I'll be talking about the economy of Mexico, touching on the current, or the basics such as their GDP, and then touching on their growth, industry, and some reservations that they are making, and then finalize with current events that are affecting the economy in Mexico. So first and foremost, they grew this past year at 2.5% according to the World Bank, and it was mostly through 2015 and then early 2016. The currency is the Mexican peso, and their GDP per capita grew at $10,307.28 US according to the World Bank, and GDP per capita, and then their GDP grew at $1.261 trillion, making it the 15th largest economy in the world and the 11th into account power, according to the We Forum. The gross national income is $1.971 trillion US in 2013, according to the World Bank. So now to talk about their industry growth and restrictions. Mexico is traditionally seen as a commodities and manufacturing giant, according to the We Forum. This includes that they have the largest proven silver reserve in the world and the largest top 10 largest oil reserves in the world, which includes Pemex, which is the largest state-owned oil company, which revenues at $130 billion. We Forum also discusses that because Mexico has rising wages and less favorable trade terms, Mexico gained competitiveness in the automobile industry. Such industries include Ford, Nissan, Chrysler, General Motors, Toyota, Volkswagen, which is pretty insane because it's also creating jobs. Mexico does make part of the NAFTA, which is a large contract with the North American countries, which is Canada, United States, Mexico. Which leads me to the next point of current events affecting Mexico economy. It shrank for the first time, despite the growth of 2.5%. In 3 years, it shrank according to CNN Money. The drop in oil prices, which has affected the world entirely, takes into account for this. And because Mexico isn't a large oil exporter. So there's this thing going on as well, according to CNN, that it's the Trump tariff. So what it means is that because Trump is saying that he wants to build a wall, and because he is the president-elect, he will cut off trade with Mexico, which will affect both countries from both ends of the border. This is just, will decline not only Mexico's economy, so United States economy. And which, because of their decrease in the economy, they also, that contributed to the imports Mexico had from the United States, which shrank. So this is just a picture provided by the OECD. Right now, what Mexico is trying to do is restrain inflation so that it doesn't grow, and they're going with this primary surplus thing, and it just means that the government is cutting off spending from the taxes and just making that, but which excludes putting that money into debt. So they're just trying to maintain inflation and not let it grow again. So to finalize, I did talk about the economy of Mexico, touching on the basics such as their GDP. I talked about their growth and industry, touching on how their oil and silver industry, and I've finalized with talking about how current events are affecting the economy in Mexico. We talked about, Carolina touched base on the politics of Mexico, touching on the different parties and the current party and the president's corruption. Mara talked about the current, our culture, and discussed the different traditions and business etiquette. And Eduardo talked about our geography and the biggest business cities and seaports that contribute to the Mexican economy. I talked about the economy in general and discussed our GDP and industries. So as a group, we concluded that we do not recommend you do business in Mexico, mostly because it is corrupt, and this corruption does lead to business corruption, and we don't want that for y'all. We don't want that for the country as well, so we're just trying to stop that. I now open the floor for questions.